once said something profound about success. Life offers more than enough opportunities to make everyone rich. But where most people stumble is not in failing to seize opportunities, it's in grabbing the wrong ones. Negative opportunities also exists, often dressed up as something free or easy. These are the real traps. By chasing these low-quality offers, we deplete our self-worth and worse, diminish the value of the real opportunities that could elevate us. This perfectly aligns with Law 40. Despise the free lunch from Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power, a banned book. The essence of this law is simple. Avoid any situation where you owe someone. Because what seems free at first always has a hidden cost, and that cost could be your freedom, your power, or your most valuable opportunities. Chapter 1. The Cost of Free. There's little on earth more irresistible than something free. It is animal instinct to want something for nothing. But ancient wisdom and modern psychology teach us that nothing is ever completely free. The unseen cost behind the free lunch is subtle, yet dangerous. In Stoicism, Epictetus depended on the philosophy of self-sufficiency, where true freedom could only be achieved if a man did not depend on things outside himself. Every time something is taken freely, we surrender some part of our freedoms. We are now in debt to the provider, possibly not conspicuous, but unobtrusive strings of expectations are always attached. Reciprocation risks being engraved in our brains as one of our human traits, and appropriately termed the reciprocity bias by psychologist Robert Cialdini. We have an innate need to return favors, creating unseen chains of debt. This law, despise the free lunch, really encourages awareness. It meant for you not to be looked cheap or weak in front of others. It's about self-respect, not ego. You can and should take help, but you should plan to pay it. Practically saying, money is the easiest exchange for a favor. Other ones are harder. You can't afford to let others dominate you just by giving you a free lunch, right? The power is in remaining unencumbered by indebtedness to others. When one doesn't put himself in a circumstance where that may happen, he keeps his hand on making decisions. Now, as for the practice in using this law, understand that independence relies on you saying no to whatever situation is attached with a hidden cost. That means it wanders above and beyond what's been earned over easily given things. On the contrary, beware of such people who give you something in return for nothing. If you receive their gift, know what strings come with their gifts. If you are going to take, at least do so knowingly and armed to fight the invisible debt. The power herein is not in refusal, but in comprehension. Know what is truly free and what comes with unseen consequences. To be free, seek it not from what you own, but from what you owe. Chapter 2. The Chains of Obligation. When one gives, it is not the actual gift that captures him or her. It is the feeling of guilt that follows you afterward. This hidden persuasion impacts the mind gently, encouraging you to repay without anyone ever asking for it. The principle is simple but powerful. We dislike feeling indebted, which is why the free lunch is a bad thing. It leads to an implied understanding of exclusivity. According to the Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, the idea was to gain control of the internal environment. Make sure you initiate an action from reason, not from the external provocation. If you accept a favor or a gift, you completely surrender your will as you become inclined to the will of the giver. Indeed, such opinion corresponds to the cognitive dissonance theory, which was developed by Leon Festinger in 1957. This means that usually discomfort felt from accepting something free makes a person try to alter that discrepancy in some way. And this often means doing a favor back or thinking the way the giver wants. If you want power, know this is a psychological trigger. In this way, such traps are avoided, and you ensure that you do not compromise on your self-governance. When dealing with this law, be moderate. Politely say no where you feel there is a hidden agenda. Sometimes, accepting gives strength. just knowing the game being played, but I do accept. However, this principle also goes hand in hand. When you give something to others, you are sowing aspect of control in their thoughts. Use it wisely, although knowing that real authority lies in giving only what people cannot turn down, and what, in effect, keeps them in check without them fully being aware of it. Chapter 3. The true cost of generosity. People act extra soft when they want something or you're the authority. Though generosity is mostly good and often selfless. For example, Japan, where generosity is a social norm, but you shouldn't always expect it from everyone. Be a little cautious, especially when someone is giving it for free. Generosity, when freely given, appears noble, but it often comes with a hidden agenda. When you accept someone's gift, you are implicitly agreeing to participate in an unspoken exchange. The giver gains a subtle form of control, and the receiver is left with a lingering sense of obligation, whether they realize it or not. From a Stoic perspective, this plays into the concept of externals, things outside our control. Accepting gifts ties us to external influences, subtly weakening our internal independence. Seneca spoke about the danger of dependency, emphasizing that true wealth is found in contentment with what you have, not in what others give you. When you rely on another's generosity, you're slowly surrendering your autonomy, tethering yourself to their expectations. A 2017 study in the Journal of Behavioral Decision-Making highlights the endowment effect, where people place more value on things they own or have received. This psychological phenomenon can lead us to overestimate the value of what's been given, making it harder to reject further offers, deepening the cycle of obligation. Remember, Marcus Aurelius, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. To wield this law wisely, be cautious when accepting acts of kindness. Ask yourself, what is the true cost of this generosity? If you sense any strings attached, politely refuse. Maintaining your independence is far more valuable than any gift that may seem free. When using this law to your advantage, offer strategically. Give without asking, but with full awareness of the subtle bond you create. This builds leverage over time, as recipients feel drawn into your orbit, whether they're aware of it or not. Chapter 4. Freedom from invisible chains. Freedom is not just freedom from restraint, but freedom from burdens. The burden of expectation of the people around you. If you constantly agree to free things, the truth is you are gradually losing small portions of your freedom. These minor debts build up over the years and take their toll on liberty. Stoicism, Epictetus, also said that we are not bothered by some things that happen to us, but by how things are done. When we begin to think that receiving a gift means that we must give back, that we have already lost some measure of our reason. The 2009 research work of Merritt, Efron, and Monin defined the term morale licensing as the ability of a person to do an immoral activity after doing a moral activity or accepting one. This phenomenon explains how even the simplest aspect of human generosity warps our actions and makes us do things that are against our better judgment. To free yourself from these subtle bonds, develop a way of thinking that cherishes what one has worked to acquire over what was received as a gift. Pay attention to the lure of the free offer and understand that there's no way it is really free for your freedom. This is quite enough to make clear decisions, and not out of duty, but based upon one's own volition. However, if you still have to take gifts, then one must have proper guidelines for it. Make it a point that actual liberty is in not allowing the intention of the giver to influence you. Leverage it to avoid yourself being drawn into someone else's web without knowing it, thus remaining independent. Chapter 5. The unspoken contract. The concept of free often hides a deeper reality. It's an unspoken commitment, in the same way that Law 20, do not commit to anyone, warns about explicit commitments. A free gift operates under the same principle. Accepting it is not just about receiving something material. It's agreeing to a psychological contract, an exchange that may not be immediately visible, but will come due in time. Commitments, whether spoken or not, can be burdensome. The giver of a free thing rarely offers it out of pure altruism. Instead, there's usually an expectation, sometimes direct, that you'll eventually reciprocate. Humans are wired to return favors, even if they didn't ask for them in the first place. When you fall into the trap of accepting free offers, you unwittingly engage in an agreement that compromises your freedom. The Stoic philosopher Seneca warned against becoming ensnared by external things, as they can cloud judgment and weigh down the mind. A free gift is no different. It tugs at your sense of duty, even when you believe you've made no promises. To use this law for power, remain mindful of the hidden commitments you enter into when something is given freely. The best way to protect yourself is to decline with grace, or, at the very least, accept with the full knowledge that you may be called upon to return the favor in some form. Keep your obligations limited, for the fewer unspoken commitments you have, the more freedom you maintain to act on your own terms. Chapter 6. It is the heaviest burden which is invisible. What makes this free offer potentially deadly is that it does not weigh heavily on clients, but its weight is metaphorical and profound. The burden that you carry is not a physical one, but you are obligated, mentally connected with the giver. This echoes advice that Law 20 would give. Being careful not to get entangled in commitments. Here, it is the promise you made and did not know you made. When you nod in agreement to what appears to be a benign suggestion, then you are already committed to a relationship that can drag you in unanticipated directions. Stoicism has a warning to any person who is looking for what appears to be simple and smooth sailing. According to Epictetus, people should focus on what is within their control, which is our decisions and our reactions. But when you are taking something for free, you are not fully in control any longer. The giver has a strand of control over you, and this strand can tug you in the direction of certain choices or a particular favor. This kind of manipulation tricks with the feelings of obligation, a social norm deep embedded in our genetic code. In 1991, a study by psychologist Daniel Batson examined empathy-induced altruism and found that decisions and judgments are seen to be influenced when people feel indebted to reciprocate a favor, even if it is against personal self-interest. Taking free offers puts you in a similar position in that you do not really make decisions freely, but out of the need to pay the price incurred due to acceptance of the so-called free offer. When in power, it is important not to take on these invisible burdens. Anytime you have this kind of promotion where something is offered free, just remember that nothing in this world is ever truly free. If you must accept, do so with your eyes wide open, knowing what may be in store for you for some future day. There may be some irresistible tugs to safeguard oneself. Always compare the price of freedom with the desire for the riches, for the heaviest chains are invisible. Chapter 7. The currency of control. In the world of power, the true currency is not money, it's control. And nothing offers more control than the illusion of something free. In every free offer, there is a currency beyond money, control. Taking something for free is never without its consequences. It is a barter of independence that most people do not realize they are making. As much as Law 20 states that commitments are hazardous, these free gifts work in a similar way. They put you in someone's debt, not with your words, but with the power of influence. On this, one can argue it philosophically as relating to the Stoic principle of control. Indeed, years back, Marcus Aurelius was very articulate on this when he said that it is the quality of your thoughts that make up the quality of your mind. And when you accept a free offer, that action takes a place in your mind, connecting your future actions to somebody else's benefit. It's not only with a view of generosity that one offers something without expecting anything in return. It is a way of managing one's future choices, whether deliberately or not. An empirical study by French sociologist Pierre Bourdieu, published in 2016, on symbolic capital shows how non-material exchanges, gifts, favors, even respect, create a form of capital that is not material, but is just as powerful. The free offer works this way. It fosters a weird sort of a reliance, dependence where your next move is somehow predetermined or inevitably limited by the owed courtesy. It is not uncommon to find that, due to this kind of treatment, your behavior changes to pay back that favor, which is done to fit the giver's expectations, like every pawn on the chessboard. To use this law, it is necessary to pay attention to these non-verbal agreements all the time. Do not accept free offers that come with hidden cons, or accept them with open eyes, knowing that you are getting yourself into a war. If you're the one giving, every free thing comes with the opportunity to influence someone's decisions, slowly and subtly leading their will. Within the realm of power, the real medium of exchange is not dollars, it's power, and there is no better power than the veneer of something given away gratis. Chapter 8. The freedom to say no. Understand, if someone wants your favor, means they want to borrow your time, your effort, a piece of you. Same things go around. If you're taking someone's favor, be ready, pay it back, preferably right away, because he or she can use it to blackmail or guilt trip you. Real power is being able to say no. With every free offer you accept, you give up a piece of that power, often without realizing. Free often costs more than we think, for when we click on the free button are hidden commitments, unstated obligations, and an unseen social contract that might never be released fully. And this, in turn, take us back to Law 20. Wary the chains. A free gift is not just something material or a service. It can be a mental burden. Once you agree, you have already trapped yourself in a cycle, saying no to future requests or favors. The power dynamics are flipped to the side of the giver, as you now feel obliged to reciprocate, a force profoundly rooted in human psychology. Social psychologist Robert Cialdini's commitment and consistency bias describes how when people make even a small commitment, they will tend to behave consistently with that commitment, even if it actually hurts them personally. You inadvertently lock yourself into a path you may not have planned when you say yes to something free. This is why the most powerful humans in this world do not get involved in these pursuits of others. They can just say no, keeping them free from other people's agendas. Practice the art of graceful no. To lean into this law, being polite and yet firm prevents you from getting sucked into their game, but not at the cost of your relationship. The use master understands when he is going to say no and when it's the best time to accept, because he has one thing in his mind all the time. Beware of the second-order consequences. Conversely, if you want to control others, then there are subtle methods to tie them up, and that is something free. When you do this, your partner then owes you an obligation, whether they are consciously aware of it or not. Freedom is not having to take anyone's debts. Chapter 9. The true cost of freedom. In the final analysis, the cost of accepting something for free is often your own freedom. The moment you take a gift without questioning its true intent, you enter a web of obligations, subtle and unseen, but strong enough to tug at your future actions. This is why Greene explicitly mentioned, beware the free gifts and the commitment it creates. Stoic philosophy, particularly the teachings of Epictetus, reminds us that the only things we truly control are our own actions and judgments. Accepting a free gift compromises this control, handing over a part of your decision-making to someone else. You may not notice it immediately, but the burden of reciprocity will loom over future interactions. This is why the Stoics valued independence and simplicity. They understood that entanglements, especially those unspoken, weigh down the soul and cloud the mind. Psychologically, this plays into the overjustification effect, where rewards can undermine intrinsic motivation. When you accept something for free, the reward of the gift can subtly shift your focus away from your own intentions, steering your actions toward meeting the giver's unspoken expectations. In this way, you lose sight of what you truly want and start acting in accordance with the desires of others. To use this law effectively, stay vigilant. Every offer must be evaluated, not for its immediate gain, but for its long-term impact. When you decline free offers, you are asserting control over your future, preserving your freedom to act on your own terms. If you are the one giving, remember that the best way to bind someone is not through force, but through generosity. What seems free often comes at the greatest cost. Your ability to decide freely. True power, then, is not in what you gain from others, but in what you protect for yourself. Freedom is the most valuable currency in the game of power. Chapter 10. The Cost of True Freedom. In its core, Law 40, despise the free lunch, obscures a fundamental reality about power and freedom. There are no free lunches. This is the dark truth of the society. We often say vulnerability is strength. We gave a poll about that. In reality, vulnerability, nor strength, nor weakness. It is a strategic weapon in war and a golden key in love. Vulnerability only can be shown to some specific persons, same as you can only take free favors from who already loves you, otherwise don't. Anything that is handed to you without visible strings exists under an invisible, yet inevitable payment plan, a slight majority of your freedom, or moral binding, or some mild form of coercion of influence, holding steady long after the barter. The bait of something for nothing is a trap, because it is not what you are given, but rather what they want from you. Jeff Bezos put this into perspective with his frame of opportunity. Life hands over opportunities on a platter to help us make it in the world. It also gives us negative opportunities, the kind where it seems like you're winning, but are bugged by lurking curses. These low-quality offers instead drain your self-respect and keep you from the real worth opportunities that can launch you to higher ground. But ultimately, this is a law about mental clarity and focus, keeping you free of manipulations, obligations, or debt. When you dislike the free lunch, you are not only refusing a physical transaction, you are protecting your independence and enhancing your self-sufficiency. True strength is not in stockpiling favors, riches, or social ties, but the ability to move unilaterally. Well, the moral is equally as obvious. Appreciate that which you have earned. Beware of that which is given gratis. Never forget that there is no free lunch, and if something seems too good to be true, it probably comes with a hefty price tag, your freedom. That's all for today, guys. See you tomorrow with a new video. Peace, and don't forget to share your thoughts on our explanation. We will read each comment and pin the most inspiring one. Have a good day.